John Climacus, The Ladder of Divine Ascent. Step 1. On Renunciation of Life. When writing to the servants of God, one should begin with our God and King Himself, the good, the supremely good, the all-good. Of all created and rational beings endowed with the dignity of free will, some are friends of God, some are His true servants, some are useless servants, see Luke 17:10. Some are entirely estranged, and there are some who, for all their weakness, take their stand against Him. We, simple people, assume that His friends, or Holy Father, are, properly speaking, those intelligent and bodiless beings who surround Him. His true servants are all those who have done and are doing His will without hesitation or pause. His useless servants are those who think of themselves as having been worthy of the gift of baptism, but have not at all guarded their covenant with Him, while, it seems to us, the strangers from God, His opponents, are the unbelievers or heretics. His enemies are those who not only contravene and repudiate the commands of the Lord, but make stern war against all who obey Him. Each of the above has his own special character and is deserving of fitting analysis. But for ignorant people like ourselves, there is nothing to be gained by investigating this now. So then, with unquestioning obedience, let us reach out our unworthy hand to the true servants of God, to those who devoutly urge us on and in faith compel us by their commands. Let us make a treatise with their knowledge as the implement of writing, a pen dipped in their subdued yet glorious humility, applied to the smooth white parchments of their hearts, or rather resting on the tablets of the Spirit. Let us write on it divine words, or rather seeds, and let us begin like this. God is the life of all free beings. He is the salvation of all, of believers or unbelievers, of the just or the unjust, of the pious or the impious, of those freed from the passions or caught up in them, of monks or those living in the world, of the educated or the illiterate, of the healthy or the sick, of the young or the very old. He is like the outpouring of light, the glimpse of the sun, or the changes of the weather, which are the same for everyone without exception. For God is no respecter of persons. Romans chapter 2, verse 11. An impious man is a rational being, one that must die, who willingly runs away from life and refuses to believe in the existence of his own everlasting Creator. A transgressor is someone who observes the divine law only in his own depraved fashion and holds on to heretical belief in opposition to God. A Christian is an imitator of Christ in thought, word, and deed, as far as this is humanly possible, and he believes rightly and blamelessly in the Holy Trinity. A friend of God is the one who lives in communion with all that is natural and free from sin, and who does not neglect to do what good he can. The self-controlled man strives with all his might amidst the trials, the snares, and the noise of the world to be like someone who rises above them. The monk finds himself in an earthly and defiled body, but pushes himself into the rank and status of the incorporeal angels. The monk clings only to the commandments and words of God in every season and place and matter. The monk is ever embattled with what he is, and he is the unfailing warder of his senses. The monk has a body made holy, a tongue purified, a mind enlightened. Asleep or awake, the monk is a soul painted by the constant remembrance of death. Withdrawal from the world is a willing hatred of all that is materially prized, a denial of nature for the sake of what is above nature. All this is done by those who willingly turn from the things of this life, either for the sake of the coming kingdom, or because of the number of their sins, or on account of their love of God. Without such objectives, the denial of the world would make no sense. God, who judges the contest, stands waiting to see how it ends for the one who has taken on this race. The man turning away from the world in order to shake off the burden of his sins should imitate those who sit by the tombs outside the city. Let him not desist from ardent raging tears, from the wordless moans of the heart, until he sees Jesus himself coming to roll back the rock of hardness off him, to free the mind, that Lazarus of ours, from the bonds of sin, to say to his ministering angels, loose him from his passions and let him go to blessed dispassion. If it is not done thus, then it is all for nothing. Those of us who wish to get away from Egypt, to escape from Pharaoh, need some Moses to be our intermediary with God, to stand between action and contemplation, and stretch out his arms to God, that those led by him may cross the sea of sin and put to flight the Amalek of the passions. Those who have given themselves up to God, but imagine that they can go forward without a leader, are surely deceiving themselves. The fugitives from Egypt had Moses, while those escaping from Sodom had an angel for a leader. The former are like those who heal the passions of the soul by the care of doctors. They are the ones who have come out of Egypt. The latter long to shed the uncleanness of the wretched body, for which reason they need an angel or the help of some like being. We must have someone very skilled, a doctor, for our septic wounds. Violence and unending pain are the lot of those who aim to ascend to heaven with the body, and this especially at the early stages of the enterprise, when our pleasure-loving disposition and our unfeeling hearts must travel through overwhelming grief toward the love of God and holiness. It is hard, truly hard. There has to be an abundance of invisible bitterness, especially for the careless, until our mind, that curse sniffing around the meat market and reveling in the uproar, is brought through simplicity, deep freedom from anger and diligence, to a love of holiness and guidance. Yet full of passions and weaknesses as we are, let us take heart and let us in total confidence carry to Christ in our right hand and confess to him our helplessness and our fragility. We will carry away more help than we deserve if only we constantly push ourselves down into the depths of humility. Let all those coming to this marvelous, tough and painful, though also easy, contest leap, as it were, into a fire, so that a non-material flame may take up residence within them. But let each one test himself, draw food and drink from the bread of pain and the cup of weeping, lest he march himself to judgment. If all are not saved who have been baptized, I will pass in silence over what follows. But to secure a rock-like foundation, those with a mind for the religious life will turn away from everything, will despise everything, will ridicule everything, will shake off everything. Innocence, abstinence, temperance, these make a fine thrice firm foundation. Let all infants in Christ begin with this, taking real infants as their example. For among children no evil is found, nothing deceitful, no insatiable greed or gluttony, no flaming lust, but it seems that as you feed them more, they grow in strength until at last they come upon passion. It is detestable and dangerous for a wrestler to be slack at the start of a contest, thereby giving proof of his impending defeat to everyone. Let us have a firm beginning to our religious life, for this will help us if a certain slackness comes later. A bold and eager soul will be spurred on by the memory of its first zeal, and new wings can thus be obtained. When the soul betrays itself, when that initial happy warmth grows cold, the reasons for such a loss ought to be carefully sought, and once found, ought to be combated with all possible zeal, for the initial fervor has to turn back through that same gate through which it had slipped away. The man who renounces the world because of fear is like burning incense, which begins with fragrance and ends in smoke. The man who leaves the world in hopes of a reward is like the milestone that always turns around on the same axis. But the man who leaves the world for love of God has taken fire from the start, and like fire set to fuel, it soon creates a conflagration. Some people, when they build a house, place bricks on top of rocks. Others raise columns up from the ground. Others still, when taking a walk, go slowly for a while, thus giving sinews and joints a warming up, and then stride out vigorously. Let the perceptive mind understand this analogy. Let us run our race eagerly, as if summoned to it by our God and King. Our time is short. Let us not be found barren on the day of death and perish of hunger. Instead, let us please the Lord as soldiers please the emperor. For at the end of the campaign, we must give a good account of ourselves. We should be afraid of God in the way we fear wild beasts. I have seen men go out to plunder, having no fear of God, but being brought up short somewhere at the sound of dogs, an effect that fear of God could not achieve in them. We should love the Lord as we do our friends. Many a time I have seen people bring grief to God without being bothered about it, and I have seen these very same people resort to every device, plan, pressure, plea from themselves and their friends, and every gift simply to restore an old relationship upset by some minor grievance. At the beginning of our religious life, we cultivate the virtues, and we do so with toil and difficulty. Progressing a little, we then lose our sense of grief or retain very little of it. But when our mortal intelligence turns to zeal and is mastered by it, then we work with full joy, determination, desire, and a holy flame. All praise to those who from the beginning keep the commandments of God, and do so gladly and eagerly. And greatly to be pitied are those who, after a long time in the ascetic life, still keep them with great labor, if they keep them at all. And let us not be horrified at or judge harshly those who renounce the religious life because of external circumstances. I have seen some men run away and accidentally meet the emperor, tarry with him, go to live in his palace, and take food with him. I have watched seed that accidentally fell into the ground bear much fruit again and again, though the opposite has also happened. I have seen someone go to a doctor for one kind of problem, and because of that doctor's skill, be treated with an astringent and be cured of failing eyesight. for it often happens that very definite and lasting results emerge through chance rather than through the workings of prescience and planning. So let no one tell me that he is unfit for the monastic life because of the weight and number of his misdeeds, or that because of his addiction to pleasure he must be excused for remaining stuck in his sin. The more the putrefaction, the greater the need for treatment, if the uncleanness is to be done away with, for the healthy do not make their way to the doctor's surgery. In this world, when an emperor summons us to obedience, we leave everything aside and answer the call at once without delays or hanging back or excuses. We had better be careful than not to refuse, through laziness or inertia, the call to the heavenly life in the service of the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the God of Gods. Let us not find ourselves unable to defend ourselves at the great tribunal of judgment. Someone caught up in the affairs of the world can make progress if he is determined, but it is not easy. Those bearing chains can still walk, but they often stumble and are thereby injured. The man who is unmarried and in the world, for all that he may be burdened, can nevertheless make haste toward the monastic life, but the married man is like someone chained hand and foot. Some people living carelessly in the world put a question to me: how can we, who are married and living amid public cares, aspire to the monastic life? I answered, do whatever good you may, speak evil of no one, rob no one, tell no lie, despise no one, and carry no hate. Do not separate yourself from the church assemblies. Show compassion to the needy. Do not be a cause of scandal to anyone. Stay away from the bed of another, and be satisfied with what your own wives can provide you. If you do all this, you will not be far from the kingdom of heaven. Let us hasten with joy and trepidation to the noble contest, and with no fear of our enemies. They are themselves unseen, but they can look at the appearance of our soul. If they are really to see our spirits bowed down by fear, then indeed they will make a harsher sally against us, knowing how much we tremble. Let us courageously arm ourselves against them. No one goes to battle against a plucky fighter. The Lord has wisely eased the struggles of novices, lest they be driven back into the world during their first battles. So then rejoice always in the Lord, all you servants of God. Recognize this first sign of the Lord's love. It is He who has summoned you. He has often been known to act in the following way. When He sees courageous souls, He permits them to be embattled from the very beginning, in order the sooner to reward them. The Lord has concealed from those in the world the tough but fine nature of this struggle. Indeed, if people really understood it, no one would renounce the world. Still, offer your labors gladly to Christ in your youth, and He will make your old age happy with abundant goodness. The things which they have gathered in their youth will come to the support and encouragement of those worn down by age, so we should toil zealously when we are young and run our course with serious hearts. Death can come at any time, and we have countless hidden enemies, evil enemies, harsh, deceitful, wicked enemies with fire in their hands, wishing to set the Lord's temple alight with the flame that is in it. These enemies are powerful, unsleeping, incorporeal, and unseen. No novice should heed the devilish words of his foes as they murmur, "Do not wear out your body in case you fall prey to disease and weakness." Hardly anyone can be found in this day and age willing to bring low the body, although they may deny it the pleasure of abundant food. The aim of this demon is to make our entrance into the stadium weak and lethargic, and a fitting end will follow this beginning. The real servants of Christ, using the help of spiritual fathers and also their own self-understanding, will make every effort to select a place, a way of life, an abode, and the exercises that suit them. Community life is not for everyone because of gluttonous tendencies, and the solitary life is not for everybody on account of the tendency to anger. Let each seek out the most appropriate way. All monastic life may be said to take one of three forms. There is the road of withdrawal and solitude for the spiritual athlete. There is the life of stillness shared with one or two others. There is the practice of living patiently in community. Turn neither to right nor left, says Ecclesiastes, Proverbs 4:27, but rather follow the royal way. The second of the three ways is said to be suitable for many people. Woe to the man living alone when he falls into despondency or sleepiness, carelessness, or despair, for then he has no one among men to lift him up. This is what Ecclesiastes says, Ecclesiastes 4:10. And the Lord says, "Where two or three are gathered together in my name, I am there among them." Matthew 18:20. Who then is the faithful and wise monk? It is the man who has kept unquenched the warmth of his vocation, who adds fire each day to fire, fervor to fervor, zeal to zeal, love to love, and this to the end of his life. This is the first step. Let him who has set foot on it not turn back.